The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. As always, we meet at the appointed time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So what do we have going on today? Well, we're down 6 points now. Is that what it is? Down 11 points on the S&P cash. My thought is that we have a lot of distribution going on, and they're going to try to hold this market up, I think, until the Fed meeting. Maybe it breaks before. Kind of hard to tell. Every time it starts to get weak, they drive it up a few points and then get back to slowly selling. But that is mostly what distribution is all about. And that will continue until the market won't accept any more shares, and then we'll break lower. I don't see a lot happening today. And that's why I'm thinking that, maybe we could break. But I don't see a lot of volume coming in late in the day. They're not in a gigantic hurry like there's going to be a giant crater Monday, and they want to get out today. We're only doing about 6.2 billion shares on the CBOE so far, but it just kind of smacks very much of every time we go a little higher, they fire away, and as soon as it starts going a little lower, they start getting kind of some support, but not much. But they really don't have to do that much. We'll look into earnings also from last night. Probably the only one I felt strong about was Docu because of the high short interest. We'll take a look at that. It is up 8.5% today. I think it was up a little more than double that after hours last night. But it just looked like it was way too short. The rest pretty much came in line with my thinking, if I had any thinking on them. But like I said, we'll go through those. I have some questions already about natural gas, so we'll take a look at that. And this will make this a Ask Me Anything Friday, and that is if you have anything about tech stocks or my opinion on anything that circles the drain around the stock market, just fire away at path@tfnn.com. And let's see. Okay. Okay, got that. Okay. First question of the day is USO from Pete and his brother Ree. So take a quick look. As we said, right now it's kind of a tough market to figure out how to handicap. In the very short term, we've got tons and tons and tons of a shadow fleet filled with oil headed around. Russia needs a lot of money. I'm not exactly sure how the prisoner exchange yesterday changes any of this, if at all. But certainly the idea that there is going to be, in the very short term, a ton of oil. We talked about how many new oil ships that were out at sea. And it just in the last 3 months drove the average age of those ships from 15 to 20 because they found everything that would float, did a little welding on them, threw a little paint on them, registered them in a new place of Liberia, and set them out to sea, changing or exchanging oil somewhere out in the middle of an ocean, and now kind of coming back in. The other thing is, of course, once all this oil gets out there and gets refined, there's real no way to track it back. So the only limiting factor now is how much does Russia want to pump at a reduced price, because that's the only thing that really matters. They can charge dollars for it. They can do anything they want. But they knew this deal was coming, and very smart folks decided to go ahead and get as many tankers as they could out there on the ocean. So I've been trying to, this morning, check with some of the people that are in this industry and in shipping and talk about how much is out there. There is a system called AIS that does track all the ships. And suddenly, a lot of those got turned on in the last couple of days. So there are a lot more ships at sea than there were a week ago, except that means that most of those would have been already at sea before they turn those on. It's kind of like a GPS, and it tells you what the name of the ship is and where it is, direction, speed, so everybody doesn't run into each other, kind of like the same version of avoidance collision called ASDB if you're flying. It's kind of the same thing. Not uncommon, though, to turn it off. A lot of the Russian oligarchs have been hiding their mega yachts and not turning that on, or putting false information on where they're going, and or even changing the name of the ship, a variety of things to hide where they were at. So these tricks they've already pretty much figured out. But yeah, it's going to be very hard to handicap that on how much oil gets where and how soon. But certainly everybody knows Russia needs a lot of cash, especially now that the Ukraine's blowing up a lot of their pretty much irreplaceable airplanes. They can't afford to buy new ones, and that's why they've really gone after the airfields in the last couple of weeks, and why Russia is getting ready to level the Ukraine once again. But I don't know, probably a little over my pay grade at the moment. I'm trying to catch up with how all that works. But, you know, from adding new drilling in Venezuela and not in the United States, it seems like, or at least I said the other day, probably the biggest business out of this is going to be new tankers. They're going to, a lot of these old things were sitting around getting ready to get scrapped, and they put them back into business. So these things are not going to last very long. Some are probably going to break down at sea, have to be towed. But at the moment, if it floats, it probably has a job out there on the ocean. But that does mean that they'll probably, you know, those were on the edge probably already, and a few of them got retired a little bit early. But yeah, probably looking at a very strong one. Now, the problem with tankers is that if you don't put in the new propulsion systems, that you may not be allowed to go in certain parts of the world. And since they haven't decided to settle on what that or what those limits are for pollution, air pollution, water pollution, whatever, most people haven't been buying new tankers. So I think that's going to be a huge business, but we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to the headlines to find out when that actually hits. We'll be back after this.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kakestat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kakestat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month and try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
So as I follow up my thoughts out here on USO, I think it's going to be very tough for exploration and production for the next couple of months. I don't know what's going to happen with the deal with Russia. Certainly they'll have a lot more cash to go do evil. Maybe they go invade another country. Who knows? I really don't understand the foreign policy thing. Maybe someone could call in and explain me the wisdom of doing this. I don't see it. But, hey. Anyway, don't have a lot of volume down here. I don't know how much lower it goes. My thought is that, or last I heard, was that the price that the Russians could charge is somewhere around like 60 or 62 bucks. Now, again, maybe someone else heard some more about that. But we shall see. Anyway, that's the first one. Question from the Den about TLT. We've got our gap down today. I think this is going to lead the market as we continue to probably see distribution in the big indexes. And, like I said, every time they drive this market down, there's somebody to buy it. They're not buying to get a good deal. They're buying it to keep it off the floor. So they buy a bunch. Then they spend the next hour selling it, or 2 hours selling it. That's generally the smack of, or the smell of distribution in the market. And doesn't mean the market isn't weak, just doesn't means that it's not going to break probably today, in my opinion. When you get these narrow days like this, all they want to do is, if they've got 3 days, they're going to take 3 days and sell into it, if they think they can hold the market up. So anyway, the TLT first gap today, I think this leads the market into the realization we get next Wednesday at 2 p.m. With Powell telling everybody how the cow ate the cabbage. I'm not exactly sure where that saying came from, but I heard it my whole younger life from my grandmother, who was kind of raised on a farm. But apparently cow eating cabbage is something. I just never knew exactly what it was. So anyway, just think we kind of play around here. That I got out of my short position this morning before the announcement, and I'm thinking that maybe we get a little bit more. But my guess is we come in here Monday or Tuesday, we're going to see this the TLT drop below the 3x3 displaced moving average. That's going to get it started, and by next Friday, we're probably going to see this thing back. Probably halfway back down, maybe 102, 103 area. And that's just probably going to head on back down to the 96 area through the first part of January. Maybe that's what actually gets everything moving in the market. Somebody made a nice statement about Restoration Hardware. Let me see if I can find it. It's just a lot of uncertainty right now. This is the worst I've seen it since 2008. I haven't seen this kind of drop since 2008. Amazingly, Restoration Hardware is higher. No one believes anybody these days, which reminds me of a good joke I heard earlier. And he was from one of those, I want to say it was, I'll think of it. Television shows like I think it was Community, or it's the one that came out on after Community. It's the one about the Park and Rec thing. I think the guy's name's Offerman, but he was telling the joke about this big bus of politicians is out in the country. They're going way too fast. They run off the road. The bus runs right into this farmer's barn, and about half of them are instantly killed. He goes over and looks around for a little while, and he just starts digging graves for all of them. About a week later, the sheriff comes by looking for the bus. He didn't ever move the bus. He just buried all the bodies. And he says, so they just all instantly died? And he says, well, a few of them told me that they were still alive. But you know politicians, you never believe them. I always like that joke. Anyway, I probably didn't tell it as good as he did. But still a good joke. So you got a pop in Restoration Hardware. Hard to tell. Probably heavily shorted, which again is the problem. You got to take a look at these. On the loser side of the loser horn is Lulu. We'll give them a little bit of a loser horn. And the question was whether or not everybody's stopped doing Pilates and all that other stuff and yoga. I don't know if it was that much, but apparently they're hanging on to their leggings from last year. Apparently, a lot of discussion on whether or not these folks had sales, and because they didn't have sales, a lot of people went and bought sneakers that were on sale from Nike. That's kind of the narrative that I heard. Who knows what the truth is, other than they didn't do well. You're right back into halfway into the gap. We've talked about this over the last week or so, as I suspect that a lot of these stocks that have had runs didn't have signs of strength as they broke through previous highs are probably coming back and halfway, at least halfway, into these gaps. And I'm thinking some of these before Christmas. So that's one. That's Lulu. Did I get to everything else? I looked at the TLT. Took at that. Oh, question on BlackRock. Pretty interesting. I did see that piece. There's a YouTube video, and I'll have to think about it for a minute. Who wrote it? Very interesting piece. I did look at it. Thought it was pretty amazing. I'll try to find it here during the break. But it's kind of what I said about Warren Buffett. Is the same thing with BlackRock. And that is that if you own enough of a company like Warren Buffett does, can you really ever see the stock price go down or that much? If you own 3/4 of it or 8/10 of it or even half of it or maybe even just 20% of it, it's pretty easy to manipulate the price. BlackRock is pretty impressive for them having it's not a hedge fund. It's like a closed-end fund for real estate. And they're only able right now to sell so much of the real estate every month. So this is kind of interesting to me, especially in light of some of the other things we've seen from real estate, that these folks, you can't run them out because they're only going to sell so much every time. Kind of like Buffett. If you own enough and you don't sell, how can they drive the price down? Well, it's slow and sure, but BlackRock has some big problems. I'll try to find that during the break. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
As we come back, looking at Chewy today, kind of a nice lower opening and then turn it around. Ooh, probably ought to change this to end market so that I'm doing the right thing here. Okay. Yeah, 5.6%. Again, this was another one that it was kind of hard to get incredibly bearish on. Of course, one of the lockdown favorites because everybody wanted dog food for their dog. But that's it. I don't know if there's a whole lot there. Costco up just a tiny bit after disappointing. And again, I think a lot of people already knowing that this was going lower shorted it and have slowly covered today. I wouldn't call this a squeeze. I would just say that it didn't go down far enough for shorts to dip their beak enough, wet their beak enough. But, I don't think there's a whole lot there. But, whatever. Now, the only one that I really thought strongly about was Docu, mostly because of the strong short interest in this, and that everybody, the chart pattern looked the best. This is where I use my power law vector indicator number. It's about a 9 on the way up and a 4.5 on the way down. So there was about half the energy on the way back that there was. You did test the previous low on much lighter volume. I would have liked a little less to go ahead, but not a bad day. And of course, up 15% on the day. I think one or two people played that after hours last night. Okay, see if there was anything. Okay, got some more emails here. The first one is ARQQ. Kind of just going sideways out here. Again, this is a stock where people were way too short. And now there's kind of a Mexican standoff. I don't know if there's a lot one way or the other on this one at the moment. I think we need to probably get to the next earnings call on it before we see much going on. Okay. And what else did we want to look at? Ask me anything? Okay, so what do I think of the Microsoft deal on Activision? Of course, if you're unfamiliar with Activision, they are the big creator, manufacturer, programmer of Call of Duty, and they have a bunch of other software programs. If you're unfamiliar with Call of Duty, I think it's one of the number 1 or 2 sellers of all time, and it's ungodly expensive for a game. I think it's can be $100 or so. But it is one of those first-person shooters that is always the top of the list. Of course, Microsoft wanted to buy them. One of the things we do know is that the Biden Justice Department has really hired a gal. Her name's Khan. I joked that it was about the Wrath of Khan, a Star Trek movie, by the way. So I mixed my metaphors well there. Anyway, she basically said before they even took office that she wasn't going to let any mergers of any size go through. That doesn't mean that she's going to win in court. So far, there are 2 wins and 4 losses for preventing mergers between companies. So the record isn't very good. This may be yet another one, and that they had their filing and presented almost no evidence of why it's a problem. Generally, the courts want you to have a pretty good reason before you start throwing around lawsuits. You can add evidence later, but this one is about as thin as it ever gets and still gets to court. My guess is that Microsoft's going to spend the first 6 months of this just throwing it out. There's nothing there. Maybe she comes along with something at another time, but in the meantime, we're going to acquire and engulf Activision. But no, most of the people that are in this part of the business are saying that this is probably the weakest of the 7 big cases they've already brought to court on antitrust versions. So can she gum up the works a little while? Yeah. In fact, they don't have the power to actually null the deal. They could actually just do it tomorrow, sign all the papers, and then let the judge try to split them up later. But generally, they don't like to irritate the judge. They'd rather have them toss it out of court, then do it real quickly while there wasn't any court case filed. But I don't know if that's going to change much of anything in this one. I think at the moment they just don't want anybody doing anything. Now, maybe they come up eventually with something better. But this, like I said, they said this is the thinnest of the 7 cases they've brought. And of those 7 cases, they've only won 2. The other 4 have been allowed to proceed. So not much going on. Okay. Okay. Someone brought up Ulta. I've been following that the last day or so to see how it worked. You got a doji yesterday, kind of a almost a hanging man, not quite, close. A little pullback today on lighter volume. Don't know. Don't see much in that. Go back to some other stuff. Okay. Question to look at Metamucil, i.e. Facebook. To all the revelations change much. They have their own problem with a antitrust, but it's pretty small potatoes for them. Certainly the Activision merger, I think, is like 66 billion or 69 billion or something, or 68. It's pretty large sized acquisition. Meta Platforms just going sideways even after this. I think the biggest problem and why we are more than likely going to be able to see 88 again on Meta is some pending litigation that's going to be before the Supreme Court. My guess is they start hearing arguments in January and have a decision probably in May, and that's on viewpoint discrimination. They've already had a couple this week that kind of touched in the same area, and it kind of looks from the questions that unless the ones this week are narrowly tailored, they're probably going to move on. I think a lot of these companies, especially with the revelations this week, where everybody lied before Congress, lied to everybody, there's going to be some bigger problems coming out of all of that. So you know that if Twitter was doing it, Facebook was doing it. I think you can assume that. So there's not. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits over the next couple of years. We'll be back in a minute.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
And a question about AT&T, any upside. Earnings coming out, what was it, like the 18th of next month? What was it? Yeah, January 18th. Here's what some of the people that I talk to are saying, and that is that with Apple selling, not having enough phones for this Christmas, actually could be fairly good for AT&T for a quarter or two, because they subsidize to some extent those phones. Apple does sell them those phones at a less expensive price, but at the same time, AT&T does take a hit, I think, from the first 6 or 9 months of that phone being out there, just from the accounting standpoint. So a lot of people have been saying that the books may look very good for this Christmas in comparison to other Christmases for AT&T and T-Mobile and those, because when you're talking a $1,500 phone and $100 a month for whatever service you get, it takes a little while to get that money back. And if they don't have to do that, but they still have the subscribers, that's kind of like found money in the couch. So a lot of people have been talking up the idea that T-Mobile and AT&T are going to do very well in the next round, just based on not having. I don't know if it's going to be just an accounting deal, but putting those phones out does cost them something, and it's not trivial. It is significant, but it could make their books look very good for a quarter or two. So why you're up here on kind of light volume, filling the gap lower from what is that? The 21st of July. You had 123 million shares. You're just kind of hovering around there. The idea is that you're doing it. Now, the question is, do you have to wait till the 18th of January for this thing to blow through? There isn't a lot of reasons to go higher, in my opinion, in the market right now. But again, I would say that there's no reason to get in front of probably or get in any of these other than for a day trade before the Fed next Wednesday. 877-927-6648. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Anything more on, let's see, on that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. go back to the rest. Did I go through everything else? Costco, I think so. Let's take a look at AMD. They have shipped their new video cards. Doesn't seem to have done much over the last couple of days. They embargo the stories, both NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD, and they kind of work out like this. They ship the cards out, and they ship them with boxing, and then what they do is have a unboxing day on YouTube or all the other places that look at computer hardware. Then they'll have a day where they actually put it in the machine. Then they'll have a day where they actually come out with the specs and the review of it. So they get, by doing it this way, they end up getting 3 or 4 days worth of coverage on new products, and they all do it. They all say, okay, here's the new product, but you can't put it in a computer. And then the next day, they'll have an embargo that says you can put it in the computer, you just really can't do much or give any kind of opinions. And then the third day, you can give a review for it. But that way, I don't know, they get 3 days of advertising instead of 1 on new products. Now that those reviews are starting to kind of trickle in, my guess is that I'll probably start seeing a ton of them over the weekend, and maybe that does a little bit for AMD. But right now, I think everybody's on hold for the Fed next Wednesday. Maybe we get some kind of news coming in, but that we're so kind of flat right now on a market pretty much is where I think we're going to be. 877-927-6648. How much time we got left here? About 3 minutes. Call in and ask me anything. Still have time before the end of the day. Okay, did I miss any other questions out here? Okay, what about Disney? Okay. Netflix had a bounce. We'll look at that in a second. In fact, let's look at that first. NFLX. And it may just be because Disney is incapable of actually making anything different or decent. They've come out yet with another series that's stinking the place up. I think I said a little bit about it the other day, but the numbers are in for Willow, a beloved 1980s movie that they've made a series out of, and apparently it's unwatchable, or most people are tuning out. We talked about that, 6 months ago, tune out time. And now you've got it doesn't take a very long for people to figure out whether or not they're going to be watching these things. And of course, enough disappointments, and eventually you cancel your subscriptions to the Disney. I don't think that the theme parks going to really matter or move much different or be much different in Disney's thing. They got to get their act right on keeping subscribers and making decent content. At least a few reviews have come out that the latest Star Wars thing isn't as bad as the horrific ones that they've been doing over the last couple of years, but no one's watching. They've said, well, yeah, this is actually a little bit better than the horrific things that they were doing before, but no one's even willing to give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. They just assume that it's going to be another disappointment, like all the other Star Wars things that have come out of Disney in the last 3 or 4 years. So they've been able to destroy what would have been one of the most beloved series for a very long time. But again, going to Willow, getting pretty harsh reviews. And again, if you search for tune-out time, you're going to find out that even some of these newer ones that they've thrown a lot of money at are just not doing very well. I do have to say, I'd probably right now like Netflix a little better than Disney, mostly because the CEO told everybody to go you-know-what up a rope, and that he's going to continue to make comedy specials that some of the crybabies complain about. And that's what you got to do. Got to please your audience. We'll be back in a minute.
The TFNN Holiday Tiger Dollar Sale is running this week only. We've doubled our normal bonuses where you can now get up to a 40% bonus on your purchase, and all purchases also receive a TFNN Tiger Mug. Tiger Dollars are good for all TFNN newsletters, trading webinars, and services, so they're a great way to lock in added savings. Don't miss the TFNN Holiday Tiger Dollar Sale, which ends this Monday, December 12th. For all the details, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
As we left, we were talking about Netflix. I think everybody's kind of jumping on them, mostly because the CEO has finally said that he's telling all the crybabies to shut up, that he's going to continue putting on shows that people actually want to watch at much lower prices to produce. Dave Chappelle has got about a 10-to-1 reward for the amount of people and time that people are watching. Compared to a lot of the stuff that they've been pushing on people that they don't want to watch or that isn't any good. And he's kind of told them to go shut up, sit down, or leave. And I think that that's part of the reasons why Netflix is doing a little better. You think about how long it takes to do a movie series or something like that, or even a 10-part series and all the people that have to be involved. Dave Chappelle can walk in, rent a theater for a couple of nights. They can have something produced. And like I said, probably 10 times as many people watching something, and it maybe costs 20% of the amount that it takes to actually produce one of those series. Amazon, of course, doing Thursday Night Football now. I think you're going to start seeing these guys very responsive now that prices have come down and investors unhappy with them actually starting to produce stuff that people want to watch, and not trying to force people to watch stuff that probably isn't that good or they don't care about anyway. So anyway, I think Netflix is the first one to at least somewhat figure out that it's time to start pleasing the people. That's pretty much it for the weekend. I don't see much going on before the end of the day, but that's kind of it. Sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you Monday.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible.